Moving on to our next subtopic, which is just approaches and talking about zero trust architecture. Let's start off with Fabrizio. Imagine you're a company, you're looking to start on your zero trust journey. What, in your opinion, are the key elements for a zero trust architecture on a logical level?
Yeah, sure. I think that's why they call me zero trust architect. But well, you have effectively from a very 10,000 feet overview, you have three major components. One is the policies that Merrick was mentioning earlier. So a policy is really a statement that specifies which subject that can be a user or can be a system, like serverless, like Lambda function, can do what, so the action, and where, so the target system. And the target system is better to be specific, narrow, and not really generic. And on what kind of conditions? For example, why I would like to access my code repository from a mobile device, or why I want to access the I don't know, get some certain documents from my personal laptop. So, or if I want to access that, then allow me to use the multi-factor authentication. This policy, they need to be enforced by some attributes that are in identity. So it should be attribute-based access control. The second component, and I think is the core of a zero trust architecture, is a policy decision point. Now, there is no specific hardware for that, and most likely in an enterprise is a combination of different systems. And that's why, from a personal suggestion, I will suggest to use a vendor that has a set of APIs so they can intercommunicate between different application systems. And the policy decision point must be tied with the identity provider of the company, and as well need to be able to map all the attributes that you define. Where for attributes, I mean, for example, the name of department, the name of the teams, and so on. So something that is clarify who should have access to what. And lastly, the final component should be the enforcement points. Now, the enforcement points can be really different types. It could be the endpoint, it could be the palm. So they may have different shape, and they need to be distributed all over the network to effectively to implement and enforce the policy in the policy decision point. I want to take the occasion to answer one of the questions that I was looking for about the new generation firewall. I'm not really sure about any specific vendors of platform when you design a zero trust architecture. Definitely, you have to consider some of the to reuse your current technologies, to reuse the things you have in the company. There are several reasons for that. First of all, you already invested in them, and you train your teams for that. However, that should need to have an assessment. So if you have a firewall, a classic firewall that has the source, destination, the port, and protocol, this is definitely not good for a zero trust architecture, because it's not dynamic, it's not enforcing the policy, and so on. However, if the same firewall has a policy-driven automation or API integration that can do certain action with certain triggers, this can definitely be a zero trust policy enforcement points. So there are several ways to implement a zero trust architecture, and the best way to start is definitely to assess the current technology you have and to see what you can reuse and orchestrate in order to implement that.